What's up, everybody? Thank you guys for tuning in. My name is Dan Kornhauser. I'm here with my co-host, Mike Goodpaster. And I want to thank you guys for tuning in for an episode of Big TDs and Tangents. This is our weekly NFL Pick'em show. We're going to go through all the games. Well, besides tonight, we're going to give you our picks on spreads, plus, minuses, favorites, dogs, all the good stuff. Mike, are you ready?
I am always ready, my man, Dan.
All right,
Said
dude.
it backwards. All right.
What's our first game? Let's do it.
Our first game, let's see. Well, our first game would be tonight, the Dolphins Bills, but it's already being played. So we will start off with what was the second game we had here after that? We have got the Green Bay Packers favored by 8.5 points over the Cleveland Browns. Dan, what do you think?
Green Bay minus 8.5.
Yeah.
That line feels a little crazy. I don't know. I don't like these high lines early in the season. It always feels like a trap to me. Like even tonight's line, I think it was like minus 11 or minus 11.5 or something like that for Buffalo. It seems excessive this early in a season when we still don't really know what's what. Now, that being said, Green Bay does look like maybe the best team in the NFC, maybe the best team in the NFL at this point. It's early, but they look good. And Micah Parsons looks to be a difference maker on that defense. That's still one of the craziest trades of this whole offseason. And just, I don't know what Dallas was doing with that trade. But anyway, Green Bay minus 8.5. I hate the line. But Cleveland is just bad, man. Joe Flacco is a joke. Even if they bench him, I don't trust either of these two rookies behind him. Their running game is meh. The Browns are a mess. I don't want to pick Green Bay, but I'm going to pick Green Bay.
All right. I think you have to pick Green Bay because this spread could be 12, and I think I would go with Green Bay. I mean, the Micah Parsons edition, Micah Parsons looks like a new man. Their defense is very good. And the problem you've got in Cleveland is their defense is good. So they're going to be able to limit teams' points. But how are they going to score? You don't really have a running game. And on top of that, your offensive line, while the names look good, it's an aging offensive line, Dan. I think Green Bay wins this game relatively easy.
Yeah, the Browns, they're going to be in a world of hurt this season. They look to be, at least thus far, they look to be one of the bottom 2 or 3 teams in the NFL.
Yeah, next up, we've got the Colts favored by 3 over the Titans. I'll take this one first. And I think what we've seen, Cam Ward has struggled. The Titans have struggled as a team. I think this is another team that will be looking for a new coach at the end of the season. Jonathan Taylor for the Colts is back to being a dominant running back, and his backup's not too bad either. Daniel Jones has played very well, using his feet, throwing the ball. And, they're playing a run defense, and the Titans is not very good. So even at -3, it could be a little bit of a trap game because the Colts got 2 big early wins. But I like the Colts to cover this 3 points here on the road, Dan.
I mean, I don't think it's for me to say that the Colts are the biggest surprise thus far. I don't think that's too far-fetched of a statement because they have the 3rd best rushing offense. They're scoring over 31 points per game. Daniel Jones looks like a completely different player. I mean, this is a guy being in New York and being surrounded by Giants fans and being a Giants country. Like, I can't tell you how many days during the NFL season I had to hear Giants fans call in on local radio talk shows or local podcast guys talking about the Giants or whatever, and just this universal panning of Dan Jones to the point where the guy throws 15 touchdown passes in a full season as a starter, and everyone was like, oh, man, Daniel Jones, he looked so good this year. 15 touchdowns. Only I think he was like 5 interceptions or something like that year. That was the year they made the playoffs. But other than that, and the fact that everyone was so amazed by his 15 passing touchdowns that year, like it was nothing but bad news for Jones. I think it's amazing that he's turned it around. At least through 2 games in Indy, they look great. Their defense looks good. I'm gonna go with Indianapolis.
All right. I think that's an easy pick, too, because the Tennessee Titans have a lot of issues. And we're supposed to pick these games quick, Dan, and I think I've been much better at picking them quick than you have.
Fine. I'll start the next one, and I'll do something like that.
All right, next up, we've got the Cincinnati Bengals at the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings are favored anywhere from 2.5 to 3.5. We're going to take it at 2.5 right now. This is not the J.J. McCarthy, Joe Burrow show that we thought it would be. It's Carson Wentz versus Jake Browning. I think this is still an interesting. It's an interesting game to pick here, Dan. What do you think?
For me, I think these two teams are a lot more similar than some people might think. Now that the quarterbacks are who they are, if Joe Burrow was playing in this game and this line wouldn't be Minnesota -2.5 if Joe Burrow was playing in this game and he was healthy. It would probably be Cincinnati by like a touchdown.
I
Because
don't think it'd be that much.
honestly, I think it would because not only is Burrow that good that he makes that much of a difference, I feel, in a game like this, Minnesota just hasn't looked good. McCarthy's not playing. Aaron Jones has been put on IR, so he's going to miss at least 4 games. They're running back. And I know Jordan Mason's looked good for Minnesota, but I just think this is a get. This feels like even though the Bengals are 2-0, this feels like a get good kind of week where they beat this team by a touchdown. Browning throws a couple touchdowns, doesn't turn the ball over. Chase Brown gets his act together because he sucked so far. And I think if they can get Chase Brown going, that'll be all the more beneficial. I'm going to take Cincinnati.
The interesting thing here is the Minnesota Vikings jumped Jake Browning at the end of the 21 season. And what we've seen is this. Jake Browning, I think, was 4-3 when he came in for Joe Burrow 2 years ago and almost led the Bengals to the playoffs. He had a couple monster games, too. One of them against the Jacksonville Jaguars in a primetime game where he led the Bengals to an overtime win, and he outplayed Trevor Lawrence. And he just outplayed Trevor Lawrence again. But we'll get to Trevor Lawrence in a little bit. I think the issue here is Jake Browning's better than Carson Wentz now. And Jake Browning has better weapons. Now, the Minnesota defense, I mean, they're a turnover-oriented defense. And the Bengals defense, same thing. But the Bengals defense can't stop the run. The question is, can the Vikings run the ball? I think you end up with a shootout here because I think the Bengals have a lot of weapons and the Vikings are going to have a hard time defending them. But the Bengals this year are going to have a hard time defending anybody. And we'll talk about the Joe Burrow situation, I'm sure, later in the show. I'm going to take the Bengals to win in a shootout, like 31-28, 37-31.
Wow.
That's where I stand on that one because I just think the Bengals defense is horrid. All right, next up, we've got the Pittsburgh Steelers at the New England Patriots. And this is 2 1-1 teams. You had, 1 week Aaron Rodgers looked like he's 25. The next week he looked like he's 85. And I think that's probably what you're going to get all the time. When we look at this game right now, the Steelers are favored by 1 point. And you've got Mike Tomlin against Mike Vrabel. It's difficult to believe that these once great defenses are 2 of the league's worst so far. Offensively, I'm going to say this. I mean, the Steelers are 28 against the run. And my big thing here, I'm going to pick the Patriots. And I'm going to pick the Patriots because they didn't make a lot of offseason acquisitions. This is kind of the team they had last year. They've got a little bit of a running back by committee. I think Drake May is playing well. I think Drake May at this point is probably better than Aaron Rodgers because he's going to be more consistent. And you've got a Pittsburgh team here that I think is going to struggle to find an identity because they want to run the ball under Mike Tomlin. The problem is they can't because the offensive line's not great. They don't really have a stud running back. So this all kind of falls all on the shoulders of Aaron Rodgers. So I'm going to take the Patriots at home, and I'm going to take the point, Dan. I made better points than you thought, didn't I?
No, actually, I loved Drake May coming into this season. He's my starting quarterback on, I think, 3 of my 4 fantasy football teams.
I don't love him. I just think he's better than Aaron Rodgers right now.
I'm all in on Drake May this season. Let's just put it that way. So it's hard for me to disagree with you about the Drake May stuff. The Patriots, they look better, and I think that's due to Mike Vrabel and this new coaching staff.
He's an outstanding coach, no matter what your Tennessee Titan fans said, because he took Titans teams with bad O-lines and not much outside of Derrick Henry. He took Ryan Tannehill to a championship game. He went to the playoffs repeatedly. The man can coach football.
He can. I love Vrabel. I wanted him to be the Lions coach, but we made out all right after all.
So you've been better off with Vrabel, but go ahead.
I agree. But so you're taking New England.
I'm taking New England in the point.
You're taking New England in the point. I'm gonna take Pittsburgh in this one, in another one of those like get right games, but this one's gonna be for the defense because let's be honest, this can't go on in Pittsburgh. It's just not a thing. I've never seen a Pittsburgh defense allow more than 30 points per game on average. I've never seen a Pittsburgh defense not be able to stop the run. I've never seen a Pittsburgh defense rank as one of the bottom 5 defenses in the NFL. Now, again, it's only been 2 games. They could go out there. Suddenly, Drake May starts turning the ball over, a couple turnovers. They settle for a bunch of field goals in the red zone, and the Steelers win, 20-9 or something like that. But I think this is going to be an ugly game. And there's whispers that Warren, the running back for the Steelers, might be injured, which is something to keep an eye on. I think he's another one with a toe thing going on. But regardless, I'm going to take Pittsburgh. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, and as long as Aaron Rodgers doesn't turn the ball over, I think they'll be all right.
All right, next up, we've got a rematch of last year's divisional playoff where the Rams were just 22 yards short of beating the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are favored by 4 points. They're 2-0 so far. What do you think, Dan?
I'm going to take the Los Angeles Rams here. I feel like the Rams could have one of the better defenses in the NFL this season. And if this line were like Philly -2 or something like that, or 2.5, I probably would have taken Philly because I do think it's not going to be that close of a game. I still think Philly will win this game, but at -4, I don't really like that. I think the Rams could really sneak up on not only on the Eagles this week, but I think the Rams are one of those teams that can sneak up on basically everyone because let's be honest, the Rams, you look at them on the surface and a basic fan be like, well, they're not that impressive. They got an old ass quarterback, they got a young defense. They're arguably maybe their best defensive player in Jared Verse can't get to the quarterback, so it's like, what do they got going for them? But honestly, man, Stafford's still a gamer. I still trust Sean McVay. They still have weapons in Kyron Williams, and Nakua out at receiver. So this is a good squad, and if Stafford's actually playing and he's actually healthy, they can hang with anybody. So I'm going to take the Rams on this Philly -4 line.
Yeah, I think this. I think I picked the Rams to beat them in the playoffs last year. I actually won
Mhm.
money because I think the point spread was covered, so we
I
were
remember that.
good. But I think these two teams are very similar. They have a big three, Nakua, Adams, Williams for the Rams. You got Barkley, Smith, and Brown for the Eagles. Brown's not done a lot yet. He's been kind of quiet, but determining factor for me is Matt Stafford, even with a bad back, if he's playing, is better than Jalen Hurts. And like you said, if this point spread was 3 or less, I would bet the Eagles. But I'm
Mhm.
going to bet the Rams because, I found a couple of sites at 3.5, a couple at 4.5. And I think this is a fairly evenly matched game. And I think the quarterback play is the difference here.
And
All right.
this Philly offense has not been good. Their passing game hasn't gotten on any sort of a rhythm. Barkley hasn't been quite what he was last year. I mean, sure, he ran for 2,000. You expect some decline, but this Eagles offense has to really get it together, and this is another tough week for that.
All right, next up, we've got the Jets at the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers are favored by 7. Now, we've had this argument before. Baker Mayfield is elite. I know you don't ever want to admit that, but he is. And the other thing is this: Andrew Berry in Cleveland should probably be fired as the GM because he gave up Baker Mayfield and then spent, $250 million on Deshaun Watson.
Mhm.
So they've got a mess there. But when you're working with guys like Mike Evans, Bucky Irving, Igbuka from Ohio State, the dude's an absolute stud. The Jets defense is struggling more than most people expected it would right now. And I think Tampa Bay takes care of this game and wins something like 37-20. I'm going to take Tampa Bay and the -7. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are a Super Bowl contender.
Um, I'll agree with that second point, mostly because I think the NFC is that bad.
I don't think it is. I think when you look at this right now, the Packers may be the best team. The Eagles are the defending champions. You just said the Rams were studs. The Lions are supposed to be studs. This Buccaneers team, Baker Mayfield. If you had Baker Mayfield in Detroit, you'd have won a Super Bowl by now, Dan.
Well, for me, it's Green Bay looks good, but how good will they be when they're playing the elite of the elite in the playoffs? It's different. It's not like the regular season. And like, yeah, I like the Rams, but is Stafford going to be healthy all year? Question.
Ask the
Sure,
Cowboys how the Rams do in playoff situations, or how
sure.
the Packers do in playoff situations.
Sure, the Lions have been great the last couple of years, but I'm off the Lions train this year. I don't think they're going to be that good at all.
No.
Philly's got their questions. So everyone's got questions at the top in the NFC. There's a lot
Everybody in the
less
AFC has questions too, though. I mean, there's nobody that doesn't have questions 2 weeks into the season.
fair, but
I'm
yeah,
just telling you, when you got those playmakers, the defense isn't bad, and Baker Mayfield is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL.
we'll revisit that after we make our picks. But you're taking Tampa Bay -7. I'm also going to take Tampa Bay -7 because I mean the Jets. Maybe Tyrod Taylor is going to make this offense look a little better, a little more like a pro offense than what has been looking like under Justin Fields. But that's ugly. That's a sad state of affairs when your starting quarterback already in the third week of the season is Tyrod Taylor.
All right, next up, we've got the Las Vegas Raiders, who defensively have been very good, but unfortunately, they have a terrible quarterback. They will battle the Washington Commanders, who may have a average quarterback in Marcus Mariota starting. The point spread opened at 6.5. Then we find out Daniels may not play. It dropped to 3.5. What is the prognosis for Jaden Daniels right now, Dan?
It's still up in the air. I know he didn't practice today. I don't think we're going to get any sort of real information until this weekend. I'm going to move forward and assume that Daniels plays because we haven't heard really otherwise for sure yet. So I'm going to take Vegas with this Washington -3.5. I'm going to take Vegas on that. Maybe Washington wins by a field goal, one of those types of games in a game where they try to run the ball more than not, just to get through the week. But if Mariota's playing, the Raiders are going to win that game. They should, as long as Geno doesn't turn the ball over and throw 3 stupid ass picks like he did last week.
Well, that's his MO. He'll play 6 or 7 awesome games this year to give people hope, and he'll play 10 or 11 games that are absolute crap. I think this is in Washington. I think the Raiders' defense is very good. I think it'll be a low-scoring game. I trust Marcus Mariota not to screw up more than I do Geno Smith. And I don't think Marcus Mariota is very good. So right now, if I was betting this game, I'm going to take the Commanders minus the 3.5. I think the Commanders are just a better team. I don't buy the Vegas thing. I don't. I think the defense is really good. The offense is terrible. And if Jaden Daniels plays, you just picked up an extra 3 points on your bet, because if Jaden Daniels plays, I think they'll score enough points to put this out of reach. Outside of that, it's a toss-up. So I'm betting the Commanders because I'm going to think that Jaden Daniels is going to play. And even if he doesn't, I think this game is a toss-up. So I might be able to win the damn thing anyways.
Can the Raiders get Genty the ball? Seriously?
Can Genty do anything with it? But this is the thing.
Their O-line sucks, but give the kid the rock, man.
Yeah, but this is the thing. They gave him the rock. He was in on 80%.
He had 11 carries. You can't be doing that, man.
No, what I'm saying is this. The first week he looked bad, and he was in on 80% of snaps. This last week, he was only 55% of snaps. So to me, that tells me maybe something's going on that we don't see at practice, and he's got less carries. And there's no guarantee that Genty is the stud that people said he was, because we've seen a lot of great college running backs that didn't turn out in the NFL. But the Raiders' O-line's bad. I think they're going to turn the ball over 2 or 3 times. I think this game will be played close to the vest. And if Marcus Mariota's playing, I look for like a 17-10, 17-13 Commanders win.
Nice.
All right. Next up, we have a interesting game if you live in Atlanta or Carolina. The Atlanta Falcons are favored by 3.5 against the Carolina Panthers. Dan, what do you think?
Atlanta -3.5?
Yeah. Has that changed?
I
see a 4.5 at one site. I see a 3.5 at another one.
Give me 1 sec. But yeah, so anyway, while that's loading, Atlanta -3.5. I'm going to take Atlanta. I think they're the better team. I think this is a game where Bijan Robinson can run wild. But can Carolina get it together, man? Can they do something? I like Ted McMillan at receiver. I like Chuba Hubbard. I do still like Bryce Young. Their offensive line's not terrible. Can they just be useful on offense, man?
No, I don't think they can.
I know, but I gotta ask. I want it to happen, but I'm gonna take Atlanta.
All right. I like Michael Penix. My only question with him coming into the NFL is if he can stay healthy. It's still a question because it hadn't been that long yet. The Panthers have showed no offense. Bryce Young looks like he did early last season before he turned it around and looked like he could play quarterback. That makes me think maybe there's issues on this team beyond that. I'm going to take the Falcons. I think the Falcons are a dangerous team. They're young, their draft, their defense. I think they're a year or two away from being a contender. I think they'll probably be a playoff contender, maybe win around 9 games. But I like the Panthers in this game over the Falcons, or I
And
mean
I'm seeing I'm
Falcons
seeing
over the Panthers.
I'm seeing as high as -6.5 for
Really?
Atlanta. And I think that's on Caesars.
And to tell you the truth, I'd probably give to 6.5 right now.
Wild. That might be a little too rich for my blood, but
But the
I'm
Panthers
glad we're
can't
going
score
with 3.5.
points. When you can't score points, it's an issue. Next up, the Houston Texans, who have been a disappointing 0-2, they're defending AFC South champions, will take on the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are coached by a man named Liam. All right, so we all know what I think of that. Now, my question is about CJ Stroud because he does not look like the man we saw play 2 years ago, and he didn't look like it last year. Now, I think the Texans have to win this game. The Jaguars have to win this game because you had the Colts with a hot start. They've got what looks like an easy game coming up this week. Both of these teams need to win this game to hang in this division. The Jaguars, they're an exciting team offensively. They're not very good defensively. At least they didn't look like it last week. And I think they have limited weapons on offense. Travis Hunter so far hasn't looked great. I don't know. I'm going to go with the Houston Texans, and I'm going to take the 1.5. And the only reason I'm going to do that is I like D'Amico Ryans better than Liam because I still think Trevor Lawrence looks like a bust to me.
Yeah, he doesn't look good, and him arguing with his coach on the sideline and
He
more
didn't
than
argue; he
once.
just kind of waved him off, like "Screw you, dude."
Well, yeah, that you don't do that. It doesn't matter who you are. You wouldn't see Tom Brady, just whatever to Bill Belichick. You wouldn't see Peyton Manning be like, yeah, whatever to Jim
Yeah, but I
Moore.
bet if either one of those guys were coached by Liam, I bet they might. Because what that means is this: if you're doing that to your coach, that's more about your opinion of that coach than anything else. Dan, you have frozen up again. Dan freezes up all the time. Come on, Dan. But yeah, the Houston Texans, Jacksonville Jaguars both need to win this game. I don't know who Dan is picking right now because Dan is frozen in time. Look at him. He looks stoned, though, doesn't he? Huh. And all that white in his beard. He's only 22. He's got all that gray in the beard. That's just bad. All right. We're going to go ahead and we're going to look at the New Orleans Saints at the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks are favored by 7.5 points. Dan, when you come back, just yell so we know you did. All right. Now, the Seahawks. They look like a classic inconsistent team with some good days from Sam Darnold and also resting too much on defense and special teams, big plays to win games. The Saints can make this interesting by slowing down the run and can scheme well defensively versus former offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak. Now, the Saints are not very good. Spencer Rattler has played okay. The Saints have stayed in games. I'm going to go ahead here, and I'm going to take the Saints and the 7.5 points because I think that's a lot of points here, and I don't really trust the Seattle Seahawks. Next up, we've got the Denver Broncos and the LA Chargers. Hopefully Dan gets back soon. But the Broncos and Chargers are two teams that look like they're the two best teams in the AFC West right now with the Kansas City Chiefs struggling. And what we've seen from the Chargers just verifies how great of a coach Jim Harbaugh is. I mean, the man won it all at one level in college. He's been to the Super Bowl. I mean, he is a great football coach. And the Chargers will take advantage of the Broncos' sudden major defensive issues against the run. to set up Justin Herbert for another clutch game to outduel a struggling Bo Nix. Right now, the Chargers are favored by 2.5, and they're at home. I think Jim Harbaugh secures another big win against a top coaching counterpart in this division to make LA the new team to beat in the AFC West. I think Dan almost got on. Let's add him to the stream. There he is. What's up, Dan?
Hi.
Hey, Dan.
I don't
So
know.
I went ahead and picked some games so I could talk. You were at Texans Jaguars minus 1.5. What's your pick there?
I'm going to go with the Jaguars. This Texans offense looks completely broken. It's not CJ Stroud's fault. His receivers suck. That includes Nico. His running backs suck. Nick Chubb, give me a break. And his O-line sucks. I don't know what they
All
were
right.
doing this offseason.
Then we've got the Saints versus Seahawks. Seahawks minus 7.5. I took the Saints in the points.
Seahawks minus 7.5.
I don't know how the Seahawks will be 7.5 over anybody right now. And I know the Saints are bad. You got Spencer Rattler, but come on, Spencer Rattler's better than Caleb Williams. Go ahead.
Wait, hold on. Is that
That's
wait,
what it says.
You said seven
Look
and
it
a
up
half?
now. This is what it was yesterday when we were supposed to do the show, but then you hooked up with that supermodel and called me and said you were going to have to do it tonight.
Hold on a sec. Let me see if this is wait, you said 7 or 7.5?
7.5.
7.5. Who do they think this team is? I'm gonna take New Orleans. New Orleans sucks.
I think this is more about New Orleans sucks than anything else.
7.5 is disrespectful. It's Seattle. Let's be real. There's already talks of fans already want Sam Darnold to be sat down for that kid they drafted in the 3rd round.
Okay. Next up, we got the Broncos Chargers. I took the Chargers minus 2.5.
Broncos Chargers. Chargers minus 2.5. I'm gonna take the Broncos, man. I'm gonna take the Broncos. They got to turn it around. I know you really love Harbaugh and the Chargers. You know how much I love Herbert. But I think Bo Nix is going to get it together. I think the Denver defense is legit. They just got to show it this week. And I think this is one of those turnaround games. So I'm going to go Denver.
All right, next up, we got the Cowboys Bears. It's a pick 'em. I'm taking the Cowboys because their Dak Prescott doesn't pay his fingernails. What do you think?
It's a pick 'em at this point.
Yep. Maybe not at this point, but it was yesterday.
All right. So
actually, I'm seeing Bears minus 1.5 right now.
Oh, smash Dallas. Awful Dallas. Yeah, I know that's not the line, but that disgusted me. So Dallas.
Yeah, I don't see how the Bears could be favored over anybody. Maybe the Saints. All right, right now the Cardinals are favored by a point on the road at San Francisco.
Arizona favored on the road.
Well, there's no Brock Purdy probably, and there's no George Kittle. But that 49ers defense is still pretty good with Nick Bosa leading the way and Robert Sale as the defensive coordinator. I think 49ers could get this done with the replacement. They've still got Christian McCaffrey. What do you think? Cardinals or Niners?
I'm gonna take the 49ers on this one. Even in a close game, they should still be the better team. I trust the coaching. I think they'll be fine without Purdy. And just give the ball to Christian McCaffrey. I think they'll be fine.
All right, I agree
on
with
the flip
you.
side, I don't trust the Marvin Harris, the MHJ and Murray connection. That's questionable. Connor needs to be better. Connor's not been good so far, the running back in Arizona. But yeah, I'm gonna take San Fran.
All right, next up we got the Kansas City Chiefs versus the New York Giants. The Chiefs are favored by 5.5 as of yesterday. I expect that to probably go up before game time. But at 5.5 points, what do you think, Dan? The Giants did score some points in their last game. Couldn't stop anybody. You got Russell Wilson. You still got the Chiefs with major injury issues at wide receiver. What are your thoughts?
I'm going to take the Chiefs mostly because I feel like I have to, because I don't think they're the Super Bowl contender that they've been the last 6, 7, 8 years.
I don't know. You ranked them number 9, so
well, we'll revisit that too. But I don't think that at this point that they look as good as they have. Their defense hasn't looked good. Spags' defense they look like they're lacking talent. I know they're not lacking talent, but it looks that way. It looks like it's Chris Jones up front and nobody else. Nobody's making plays anywhere, seemingly. I don't know what the deal is. Yes, their offense sucks, but I trust they'll figure it out. But they got to run the ball more, man. I don't know what's going on. I know they're running back tandem with Pacheco and what's his face, the guy who picked his girlfriend, or whoever that chick was.
That's everybody on the Chiefs.
But yeah, I know their running back tandem isn't good. I don't know why they're just refusing to run the ball. I don't get it at all, especially when your offensive line is questionable and you want to try to get some cohesion up front. I figured you want to lean on running the ball. I thought offensive linemen like to run the ball, just be physical up front. I don't know what the aversion is, but I think this is another get right game, and I think Kansas City badly needs it because if they're 0-3, they're going torpedoing down in my power rankings.
All right, I'm gonna take the Chiefs, but if this gets to 6.5 or 7, I would take the Giants. Next up, we've got probably the biggest week of the game or game of the week. We've got your Detroit Lions versus the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are favored by 6 points, Dan.
I like that. I like that a lot. I'm going to tell you why. I told you before. I made a little hint to this, but I'm out on Detroit this year. I don't see them as the contender that they've been over the last couple of years. I think that's for a few different reasons that I don't want to dive into right now because I'll go on one of those tangents. But I just don't think this is the same team. I think Baltimore. I think Lamar Jackson's just going to have his way with our defense. I'd like to see Aiden Hutchinson make some more plays on that side. He looked good last week, but I know he's coming back off of injury. But we need him to be Superman. We need him to be up on that J.J. Watt, Myles Garrett level. We need him to be a disruptor on every single play because there's nobody else up front, and I don't feel like he's going to get any help in this game. Derrick Henry just got embarrassed in the last game. I think he's going to come out and run angry this week. If he gets less than 150 yards of total offense this week and say 2 touchdowns, I would be surprised. I'm going to take Baltimore.
I'm taking Baltimore also. I just think they're the better team. I think the Lions are going to have issues this year too. All right, Dan, the last 10 to 15 minutes of the show is all yours. What do you want to talk about?
First thing I want to talk about, you alluded to it earlier, but Joe Burrow. He's hurt again, and it's a toe injury. He just had successful surgery. He's probably going to be out for 3 to 4 months potentially, which is hideous. I think his injury completely torpedoes this whole team. I think it torpedoes the whole season. Zach Taylor is not a good enough coach to make up for the loss of such an integral player. Some teams might be able to get away with their backup quarterback for half the year or 3/4 of the year and float around 500. Cincinnati, I don't think is one of them, and it's because the coaching is just awful.
Well, you did already pick him to be 3-0.
I did, but things can happen quick in this league. And
well, I think then you've got 3 really rough games. I mean, really, the next 5 are kind of rough. If you get 1 or 2 of them, I think they can still make a run at the playoffs. But the issues here are still the front office and they're the head coach because Joe Burrow runs this team. He wanted T. Higgins. He wanted Jamar Chase. He wanted Trey Hendrickson. He never once said he wanted offensive linemen.
That's right.
The other thing is this. He's a guy that when he's under center, this offense is much better. But he likes shotgun. So they run shotgun because Joe Burrow runs this team. He tells them who to pick. I mean, what free agents to bring in. And I'm sorry, there's enough talent on this team. If Jake Browning plays well, they could win 10 games. But there's not enough coaching here to get to 10 wins, I don't think. I still think it ends up 7-10, 8-9, maybe 9-8. Maybe you can slip in the last playoff spot. But as long as Opie Taylor coaches this team, they're not going to win a Super Bowl. I mean, the defense, when they went to the Super Bowl, it was on the backs of a really good defense. If you watch what they did against Kansas City, they were down big time, 21-3. And then for the next 5 quarters, only gave up, 3 points, 6 points in that game to Kansas City. They go to Tennessee. Tennessee scored 16 points right around there. I mean, the Raiders game, 16, 17 points. The Super Bowl, the defense kept them in the game. And then they let Jesse Bates go. They started letting guys go. Guys got old. They can't replace them because, I mean, their scouting staff is like a third the size of a normal NFL scouting staff. The ownership is a complete joke. And that's the issue here. The only thing that has saved this franchise was Joe Burrow being drafted by it. Nothing else has changed here. And when people say Joe Burrow, Andrew Luck, it's the same thing. It's not.
It's not.
Andrew Luck asked for offensive linemen. Joe Burrow has it. And I'm sorry. If you have a football organization that puts more value on wide receivers than they do in the trenches, well, that's why there's no Super Bowl trophies in the trophy case in Cincinnati.
Now, I mean, all that being said, I do want to give Cincinnati just a tiny bit of credit for trying on the offensive line. It's not like they just spent, third, fourth, fifth round picks on guards and centers and blocking tight ends.
No, they completely missed on a bunch of first and second round picks.
Oh, yeah. They missed. They completely
That's where you blame them. They missed. You can't miss.
At least they're trying. Okay, they're trying.
Whatever. You know what? Hey, this is the thing. I would come home after a game or something. I'd tell my dad, I just tried. He said, well, shut up. You're supposed to try. The only thing that matters in life is whether you get it done or not. And this franchise has never gotten it done. I mean, hell, in 1988, they go to Super Bowl 23 with the youngest or second youngest team in the NFL. By 1991, they've completely broken that team apart. And then you've got 35 or 30 years of hell. I mean, so this is never going to change in Cincinnati. It's just not. Now, I mean, if they win a Super Bowl, it's just going to be because of Joe Burrow.
Speaking of Joe Burrow, when are we going to get to the point where we start to have real questions about Joe Burrow and his availability?
Well, you already have questions. I mean, right now, he's on pace to be the 7-time comeback player of the year in the NFL. I mean, he just is. Dude's won 2. Next year, he'll come out, he'll ball out. That'll be 3 in like 6 or 7 years. I mean, come on.
Yeah, but every other year he gets hurt. And
that's my point. That's why he'll be the 7-time comeback player of the year. He'll be the only dude to do it 7 times.
It was a hand injury. Then before that, it was the knee thing. Then now there's this turf toe thing.
Yeah, you get torn ligaments in the toe. You had torn ligaments in the thumb. You had a torn ACL. And if you watch this game, I'm sitting there watching the game with my son. I mean, as the game started, the first 3 plays, he goes back to pass. They're just smacking the crap out of him. And my son goes, there's no way he's making it through this season. And I looked at him and said, I don't know if he'll make it through this game. And then the next thing you know,
you both were right.
Ground.
Yeah, you both were right.
Because if you've watched, 60 years of Bengals football like I have, you know how things are going to turn out.
Well, I've watched 25 years of Lions football, so believe me, I know how those things tend to go. But with Burrow, one more question with Burrow before we move on to the next topic. I saw something about this the other day, and I thought it was a foolish conversation, but I wanted to ask you. Joe Burrow and the Bengals, they're probably not going to win a Super Bowl currently constructed unless they do something magical with a coach and something magical with the GM. They're just wasting away a potential future Hall of Fame quarterback's prime years. With all that being said, if they're just going to reset, new GM, new coach, the cap is mismanaged, do they trade Joe Burrow sometime in the next couple of years to just reset and get?
Who wants to trade for a $50 million a year quarterback that gets hurt all the time?
You say that, but Sam Bradford got traded for multiple first-round picks with multiple teams.
I know, but Sam Bradford didn't have $250 million contract.
Sam Bradford also wasn't as good or even could even hold.
No, but you can't trade him. If you trade him, you lose the fan base because this fan base deep down knows the only thing saving her ass is Joe Burrow. I mean, everybody talks about, well, his daughter, Katie Blackbird's running the team. Well, if you have a woman running an NFL football team, you're pretty much screwed anyways.
Now, if I'm talking about in a couple of years, not this year, not next year, but let's see Joe Burrow comes back next year. And like you said, let's say he balls out, but you guys win 9 games. And then you finally fire Zach Taylor. And then you're looking at this athis. Maybe
the Zach Taylor firing should come at the end of this season if they don't make the playoffs with Jake Browning, because you've still got $330 to $40 million a year players there. There's still enough talent there. And Jake Browning is good enough to get you 10 wins. And if Zach Taylor can't get him to 10 wins, his ass needs to be gone. He never needed to be here to begin with. He was unqualified. He was here because he knew, Sean McVay. He was the quarterback's coach there. I mean, he was Tommy Tuberville's offensive coordinator at the University of Cincinnati. And they got fired immediately because they suck. And he sucks. And he's soft. And he's a little baby. You call him Charmin. He's a joke.
Okay, now here's a question. Who do you hate more, him or McDaniel for Miami?
Oh, McDaniel. McDaniel's gay.
Okay, now McDaniel. Let's talk about that. Before the season started, you made a very bold declaration, and I wrote it down because I thought it was bold. And you said McDaniel would be the first head coach to be fired. And you said it would happen before the midway point of the season. I think actually you might have said like a month or two, and it's into like a month and a half.
I guess like weeks, somewhere between
week
6 and
7.
8. Yeah.
Yeah. So you said it would happen before.
It has to. It has to. He's lost that team.
If
you
they
can see the way
tonight,
they act on the sideline.
If they win tonight, does that change your thoughts at all?
No, it's just one win.
True. If they go on a little winning streak, does that change your mind at all?
He should be fired. He sucks. I can't help that he sucks. It's not my fault he sucks. All I know is this is a grown-ass man that coaching a game in a dome wearing sunglasses.
Now, I ask the question because there was a report that came out earlier today that said apparently both his and the GM's jobs aren't necessarily on the line if they don't make the playoffs this year, apparently.
Yeah, because this is the problem. Miami is run like Cincinnati. They're run like Cleveland. They're run by idiots that have no clue how to run a football team. I mean, once again, Cleveland, you got Andrew Berry, who decided he needed to get rid of Baker Mayfield after Baker Mayfield won him a playoff game in Pittsburgh. And in Miami, come on, has any team been more mismanaged than Miami over the last 30 years?
Yeah, there's been a few. Cincinnati's one of them. Detroit's one of them. Cleveland's another one.
I think this. I think you can make the case that Cincinnati's been better managed than Miami. You do have a Super Bowl appearance there, at least.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair statement. Miami hasn't done squat.
Yeah, and I mean, Miami's been worse than Cleveland. When's the last time Miami won a playoff game? Oh, I'm forgetting something maybe that wasn't too far in the past, but I remember McDaniel going to the playoffs with him. But McDaniel, just look at the dude, man. He should not be an NFL head coach, and he's not qualified. I don't think there's a chance in hell Kyle Shanahan was letting him call his offense.
Now, hold on. I just looked this up real quick. I don't know if this is accurate, but it looks like this is accurate because I'm on a different site now, and this is what it says. So the Miami Dolphins' last playoff win was in 2000 when they beat the Colts 23-17 in the AFC wild card game.
Yeah.
Since then, the Dolphins have made the playoffs 5 times, but have not won another game, giving them that they currently have the NFL's longest current playoff win drought. Playoff win drought, dude.
Yeah, quarter of a century. So once again, I think they may be the most.
That wasn't even Ricky Williams yet.
Look at all the quarterbacks they've went through. Look at all the coaches they went through, and I mean, I think that for this century, they've been the worst run organization. It's either them or Cleveland.
I'm a little embarrassed that I didn't realize that it's been that long. But damn, dude, really, it's been that long, Miami?
Yeah, 25 years ago.
That's wild, yo. That's wild. I was still in high school 25 at that point. I was in, oh my God, 2000, dude? Really, dude? Wow. Anyway, Miami fans, you should abandon the team. Dolphins, fire everybody, reset, ownership, sell the team. I don't know what you guys are doing out there. Too much beach, too much hanging out with the pretty girls down on South Beach, I guess. So we had Burrow, we had the Bengals, we got the Dolphins. You know what? I think that's all the fun stuff for today.
All right. And we want to tell people that we will normally be every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, except when Dan hooks up with a supermodel like last night.
Listen, we all have needs.
Yes. And I mean, you needed that male supermodel, and you got him.
That's it, baby. Big TDs and tangents. That's what we're all about out here.
That wouldn't be TDs.
Well, it could be.
Well, it could be both. Yeah, you're right. You never know anymore. There's now 72 genders. So what the hell?
Oh my God, I love it. Okay, so just to put a little bow on everything in terms of the different picks that we made, you and I, we have 3 different picks in games. So it's Pittsburgh -1 that we differ on. I have Pittsburgh, you have New England. Washington minus 3.5. I took the Raiders. You took Washington. And then the Chargers minus 2.5. You took the Chargers. I took the Broncos.
That feels like we're going to just be 2-1 some way or the other.
Yeah, I'm excited.
By me. But.
And it's going to be me.
Sure.
But for that, thank you guys for tuning in for our first episode of the renamed Big TDs and Tangents. I am Dan Kornhauser. That's my co-host, Mike Goodpaster. Give us a follow, give us a like, subscribe if you're on YouTube or any of these other websites that you can subscribe to our show. Go on X and follow The Grueling Truth on X. The episode will be posted there. We're going to be on Facebook. We're going to be, are we on like iHeartRadio or something like that?
We are on iHeartRadio. We will be back on Spotify, but
we're going to be back on Spotify. We're all over the place.
We're on like 350 different streaming platforms.
All over the webs. Take these picks to heart and tune in next week. Enjoy the rest of the game tonight. Dan Kornhauser.